Welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to be creating in my vintage Disney journal, and I'm also going to be talking about how to use old books or old book pages in your journals. I've done this again. I've created a little mood board. I've taken a photo of this. I love doing this. It's suddenly become one of my favorite ways to create. So I've got my photos here, and I've kind of like just made a little collagey mood board. I'm going to scoot this over to the side. It's funny, do you go through phases with things? I definitely do, and this is definitely my favorite way to create right now. I've got my lovely journal here, and I've already picked out this page because there is a map. I'm going to answer a couple of questions actually. Somebody asked me recently, where is my journal? Why, for example, like with this one, have I only, when I've got a lovely chunky spine, why have I only got 2 signatures? It seems a bit of a waste when I could fit 3. I think the thing is, and I'm feeling it here, I've got 3 in here, I get super chunky, and I have got so much. Well, there's a whole signature I haven't even used yet. But my journals get really chunky, and like now I'm already not able to lay it down. So sometimes I just do a super chunky spine and only 2 signatures because I know I can get easily chunky. That's why I am a chunky journaler. And my other question, I seem to be asked this a lot lately, what kind of journaling pen do I use? My favourite is a Pilot V-Ball. I also, though, I haven't got any black ones of these. I love the Uniball pens as well. So these are my favourite types. I've got loads of different colours of these. I think I've got these in every imaginable colour. But black is definitely my favourite. Why does it feel so different journaling with black compared to blue? Blue just feels like, no, you shouldn't be journaling with blue. But black, yeah, that's my feelings on that. So I am going to jump on and start creating in this beautiful journal. So book pages are one of my favourite things to use. As you can see, I've got a book page here. This has come from an old Winnie the Pooh book. And this tree I thought would be really nice. So I use book pages in lots of different ways. As you can see, I've got some in my journal here that I've used, and I also use them like I'm doing here to cut out. So I'm quite open-minded when it comes to book pages. Some I just use for backgrounds. So there's lots and lots of different ways to use them. Firstly, should we just kind of like talk about getting over using book pages in our journals, as I know this can be a real tricky one for some people. We're all brought up with the fact that you don't damage a book. Books are sacred, books are special, they're there to be valued and respected. It's certainly not something that we tear. So I know for a lot of people, and me included, this takes a long time to get over. It's going against everything that you're told when you're brought up. So I've kind of developed a different way of thinking about them, and I see books as still being loved, but just in a different way. So many books, as you can see, this belonged to somebody called Sophie Priest, I think. Books can be loved in different ways. We're just loving them in a different way now. Many of the books that we're using, that we're buying, that we're finding are old books that are no longer being loved. Many of them damaged, many of them falling to pieces. So if you are starting out on this book journey, maybe start out with books like that, not new books necessarily, but books that were loved in previous years and not really feeling the love right now. They might be your easier books to start out with. And then maybe move on to newer books. So this was a secondhand book that I've got here, but it's actually the wording and the illustrations that I'm using. This is something else as well. You can use whole pages like I have done here in my journal, or you can tear bits and pieces out as I am doing here. I'm using illustrations, I'm using wording, I'm using them in various different ways, and I will buy them for various different purposes as well. When I look at a book, it will catch my eye for different reasons. Some books I want the covers for to create the journals. Like this particular book, this was in such a state of disrepair
My lovely friend Romy sent it to me. It came in a bag just purely because it was in so many pieces. The cover was completely separate, book pages were loose, and I have kind of like put it back together again. So the spine, the journal, the covers are back, but I've created my own spine and I've included lots of the journal pages here. So as you can see, who else would have wanted a book completely fallen to bits? So I have given it a completely different new lease of life. It's being so loved and appreciated now. Most of the people would have probably have binned it. So not me. I saw it in a different light and knew I could bring it back to life again. So when you think of it like that, I haven't harmed the book. I've actually brought it back to life. So I think that's a nice way to kind of think about it. And it definitely helps with getting over that feeling of doing something to a book that you shouldn't. So let's talk about how I'm using it now. I've got the book pages in the background. I'm using a little bit of illustration. I thought it would be fun to create some little pockets here. So the tree, which I loved, I am popping that down here. I've cut around it and I'm thinking, like, I've got that little card that I had. It was a Magic Kingdom card with the elephants on. That would be fun to tuck in. I can tuck in some photos. I can tuck in some journaling and various other bits and pieces. So that's how I'm using these book pages here. Not completely sticking down everything. The torn piece that I've popped in, that's only stuck down on the sides. So I can then slot pieces down into like pockets. That's what I'm planning to do here. The cute Mickey Mouse book page at the back, I'm not going to completely cover that up. There's going to be pieces left visible. So as you can see now, I can then just slide bits and pieces underneath, or not underneath, sorry, down the top and use it like pockets. So that was my plan with this page. Now I'm going to say this, I've said this quite a few times. It was the biggest tip I've ever received about using book pages, and it was from my friend Elise, and she always says that before buying a secondhand book or any book, if she's wanting it to use the illustrations, have a look through and realistically think, how many of these illustrations would I cut out and use in my journal? If there's only one, then you've got to think, if you're paying £5 for a book, is that realistically a good price? If actually you're thinking, actually I could cut probably most of these out, then the price that you're paying for the book will probably be worth its value. So think of it like that. It's definitely helped me with how I look at books when I'm buying them. I go through now and think, how will I use this? This other book that I'm using, this was actually a stamp book. I picked it up in a house clearance, and somebody was obviously a stamp collector at some point, so I've got some amazing stamps, but there's also lots and lots of pages that were left blank, like this one here. So this one I'm using for the grid. Love this little contrast. So it's a completely different kind of book that I've found here. I will be using the stamps, but I also loved it for the background paper. But that's also something else to look at for books. Not just illustrations, but for background papers as well. If you've got some with like good lines that you think, oh gosh, that would be so good for journaling paper. Even grids can be used, or if you think that would be really good for layering. So there's lots of different ways that book paper can be used. You can see here that little card. So the card was actually from a free game pack. They used to be given out in Animal Kingdom. In Magic Kingdom in Disney World. It was like a little treasure hunt, and you went round finding clues, and the little packs of cards were free. They don't do them anymore, so they feel very precious, but the one with the elephants just seemed so perfect. I want this page to feel very layered. So I've collected, you saw my mood board before that I collected bits and pieces. I had an old tea card that was also sent to me by Romy. So I've popped that up, and I thought that would be really fun to pop a photo up there and kind of like hide the photo. I don't want loads and loads of photos in full sight here. So there's going to be lots and lots of hiding on this page, which I think will be really, really cute. But yes, now the other question is where to find your books when you're using them. There's so many different places to find them. I've already mentioned the house clearance place. That is amazing. I only know of one of those, and that's where our friend Romy lives. I don't know of any others. I need to find some. I've often wondered if there's any near me, because Romy lives in Worcestershire, so it's not near me. So the only time I get to go is when we visit her. But I would love to know, because her books are all £1 each, and every now and then they have a complete clearance and they give them away for free. So that's when she often ends up gifting us load. Or what she'll do is think, because she does it like for our little community group, our little friendship group, and she'll think, oh, like the Disney ones she'll keep for me. Our friend Kat loves Eeyore and Winnie the Pooh, so she'll think of her. So it's just a really, really sweet thing to do. And I really, really sort of like treasure that she does that for us. But when I'm out and about, I would obviously definitely go to charity shops. Charity shops can sometimes be quite expensive with secondhand books, so definitely go in for an open mind. Sometimes you do see that they have a bit of a clearance section. The kids' books are often the best place to go, to be honest. My sister has a really, really big Red Cross one, and they often will do 3 kids books for £1, which is amazing. I have found we've recently become National Trust members, and the National Trust places often have secondhand bookshops. I bought some the other day. The paperbacks were all £1, hardbacks were £3. So that's quite a good find. Again, kind of have a little think in your mind if you can think of how you're going to use the book. If the cover is going to be an amazing journal for you and you can use the pages inside, then that's amazing. So have a little think beforehand how you think you're going to use them. Other places, there's a lot of book swaps these days. I always keep a small book, and when I say small, I mean small, like a small kid's book, in my handbag. So that when I do see somewhere that has a swap, if there's a book that I really like, I don't feel guilty taking it. I feel that I am actually popping one back in return. You see them everywhere these days. Let me know if you've got one near you. I picked up an amazing book in a co-op in the Cotswolds once. I was checking out or paying, and then just saw this. It was almost like a little library area. It had seats and everything. It was lovely. So I had a little Snow White book in my bag, and I took a really big, beautiful hardback book that I've actually got on display in my kitchen. I've used it to pop a plant pot on top on a shelf, and it looks really beautiful. I've done that a few times now. Churches are another thing. We love popping into old churches when we're on our visits, and again in the Cotswolds, beautiful old church, and there was a swap box at the front of the church. Again, I had a little book in my bag, so I took a beautiful book, which again I've used on display purposes in my home. The other thing is sometimes housing estates have them. You see them sometimes, like old telephone boxes have been turned into book swaps. Just all over the place. I'm just thinking, do doctors' surgeries? Doctors' surgeries don't often have books these days. I don't know, have they replaced them again? There was like the big cull of them, wasn't there? No more magazines or books. But yeah, I've often seen them, like there's when you go to Frome, there's a beautiful stone wall actually, and there is actually a little book swap inbuilt into the stone wall, which is really cute. But yeah, have a look out. It's amazing, and these books are all free, which is so cool. So I would love to know where you buy your second-hand books from. And if you are completely over the using the book thing, you can pick up new books for really good prices as well. You can find them in places like The Works. You can get really good price books there. I quite often go on places like eBay. That's where I buy a lot of my vintage books actually. I bought one the other day, a really good Disney annual, £2.80, big A4 annual, and that included postage as well. eBay is a really good spot. And then also World of Books is another good one. I have bought so many, and quite often they do the buy 3 books, get the 4th free. So that's worth looking at as well. I get a lot of my Little Golden books. Places like Poundland are really good. They do like their own version of Little Golden books, so they're worth looking at as well. So there's so many different places to find books, and you can always swap with friends as well. Have a think about that. That's also a good thing to do. So there's definitely lots of ways to find our books and use them. And then we're not also talking just about like paper books, hardback books, but I've got some examples coming up actually that I've pulled out of things like notebooks, planners and things like that. There's obviously different ways that we can use the pages in our journals. So there's just, as you can see actually on the other side here, I've got some I don't know what kind of you would call that. It's like almost like a working book, isn't it, where you do like accounts and things like that. My other one as well is old school books. I have got some old school books from when I was a child. My mum kept everything and I actually use those now. I got rid of most of them and I'm actually regretting getting rid of the amount I did because I'm actually using them quite a lot now in my journals. So have a think about that. If you've got your old school books, think about, or even your children's, think about using them in your journals because they feel very precious and we can't keep everything. So it's a way of loving something but using it in a different way. And I think that's the way how I've embraced the whole using the book pages. Now let's go back to the journal here. I am layering up a lot. By the way, I spoke about creating mood boards at the start of this, and I speak about that in great depth in my previous video. Excuse me. So I'll leave the link to that down below. You'll see how I created the mood board, how it comes together, and how I actually use it. And I talk about it just to help you because I find it's my favorite way to create pages at the moment. I'm just putting together here, as you can see, lots and lots of bits and pieces. I love the layering. The layering makes me so happy. And I've created the little pockets here, which I think is really cute. This was really cute, this little one that I'm adding here about being a great pair, and there's a picture of a pair, which goes really well with my Animal Kingdom page. I've got the map there on the side as well, and I am loving the colours. I love the fact that the colour of the tree matches the colour of the map so well. This is the back of my photos here. I'm just adding a little bit to it. This is where I will do the journaling. What I like about creating a page like this is because of the little slots, the little pockets I've made, I know I can easily go back to it and add more journaling if I wish. Sometimes I only need a little bit of journaling. Other times I can get really stuck into it, get quite carried away, and I need a little bit more space. So that's when the little pockets are really handy because I know I can just write on a little notebook or something, a notebook page, and pop it in there and it works out really good. I think this has come together really sweet. I am so happy with this. Popping in my photos and they blend in really well as well. By the way, the great big paper clips on the side of my journal, I do this quite a lot. If I'm making decisions and I'm not quite sure, I'll pop them onto the page because I can slide bits and pieces in them. Now I'm actually using them for a different purpose. The little flips aren't staying down. They are determined to stay up. So I do this to hold them down, and then by the time I finish the journal, they are kind of like trained and they will stay down. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer and I need to keep them in overnight, but it's a really good way to train down things in your book.
So I am very happy with how this looks so far. The tones kind of really go in well, but I would like to blend it a little bit more. I've bought in some pencils and I am just going to go over very lightly just to bring in the colours. I just felt like some of the parts stood out a little bit too much. There we go. Like that a lot. I'm thinking also with the wording down here, let's just make that a little bit green. I'm going to go back in the opposite direction as well, so we've got a little bit of a crisscross look. It's amazing what you can do with book pages. Oh, I tell you what I was going to do as well. I was going to show you this little stack of books as well and chat about these. So I was going to run through the types of books I've got, what I use, what I look out for when I buy them, that kind of thing. So this is just a notebook. Notebooks are amazing to keep for journaling. Tear out the pages. You can, like even this kind of thing, you can fold and use as a little pocket, add it for a little bit of hidden journaling, or even just use it, tear it out and use it as journaling on your page. Super handy. Same kind of thing goes for when you've got this type of book. This is a budget book, any banking book, composition book, anything like this. It just makes it just a little bit more interesting. Sometimes I add these types of pages to actual journals as well. Again, you can tear bits off, use it as a bit of layering, use it as a pocket, all sorts. I kind of find that these type of things just make it a little bit more interesting. Even got like invoice books. I've got that kind of thing as well. Love anything like that. They're so fun. Now, when it comes to other books, obviously we all know that you can turn these types of books into journals, but when you are out and about, if you are enjoying or liking a book for its illustrations, this is something that my friend Elise said to me, and it's really, really stuck. Have a look through a book and have a look and think, how many illustrations would you cut out to use? If you only see 2, they're all very, very big, then you know it's not going to be a good book to buy to cut and use. However, for example, I would use Donald there, I would cut out that, I'd cut out Mickey Mouse. There are so many illustrations in this cute little book that I would cut out. This would be a good book for cutting and sticking, turning things into like ephemera. This is a really good one, actually. I'm not going to do that because I love this book, and I am actually going to keep this for a journal sometime, but it's just to give you an example. This one here, I saw this book in a charity shop. I think I paid like 50p, or it was like 3 books for £1 or something. I couldn't leave it behind. I've actually owned this for a few years now. It is an absolute beauty. It really is. But again, you could imagine cutting out the illustrations. Again, I'm not going to. I think they're far too beautiful to cut out. Look at that. But that's the kind of thing that I look for when I'm looking at a journal or at a book. This is another one of those with really cool, you can see there I've cut them out or torn them out. A really good one for using for journaling. It just makes the page, rather than just plain lines, it makes it a bit more interesting. So they're the kind of things that I enjoy for books. Now I am going to continue, I think, with a little bit of colouring in. I just feel like I'm not loving the white, and I just want it just to blend in just a little bit. I did add a few more little layers before, which weren't on camera. I was on my Zoom and chatting, and I just got a bit carried away. Let's pop that there. I think the green helps, doesn't it? I'm just going to add a little bit of soft, this is more like a eucalyptus-y green. I'm loving all the different shades of green, actually. So let's just colour this in. I like this. I like doing like that crisscross look when I'm colouring in. The little bird is going to need another staple. There we go. Love that. And I might even actually colour in on the other side. That's the only problem with these types of things. It then looks a little bit ugly on the other side when it's just like really, really stark white. But everything else on the page is just a little bit muted. There we go. I haven't decided what I'm doing with that yet. I love that crisscross look. It really does look good, doesn't it? Okay, here I'm going to do exactly the same again. Let's just add a little bit of green, but I would love to hear from you and hear what you enjoy doing with your books. There we go. That is just looking a little bit softer, isn't it? Now there's some other things I wanted to show you. I have got a super cute little envelope made from a book page. These were actually made for me, for my kits, but I have made some before, not as quite as cute as this. I thought, look at the little squirrel. Let's pop this. I kind of envisaged this page having loads of bits and pieces to pull out. Just lots and lots of layers. That's what I kind of had hoped. I also wanted to add something to the back here. Now I was thinking, I've pulled this from a planner book, and I'm thinking about just adding a little bit to the back. I do quite like the white here, actually. It adds a little bit of a contrast, doesn't it? How about we add a little bit of colour to the edge, but we keep the rings, the holes, white. How about that? Let's see what this looks like. There we go. I'm going to tear it because I'm going to like how it's going to look on the other side. Whoops! That looks cool already. And then the idea is I'm going to pop some tape on there actually. I was going to staple it, but actually let's add some tape on the reverse. Like that. And just, I've got a tiny little bit left at the top, so let's pop that on. There, I really like that. That is so cool, and that's just been pulled out of a ring bound notebook to give that look. That's so fun. Now I don't want to go onto this page because this is a completely separate page. This map does pull out, but I would like to add something, a couple of things just to bring this in. And I was wondering, I've got to be very careful because I don't actually, I can happily go over that. So let's add a little bit of tape just to add a little bit of interest to this other page. I think this is going to work out well. So let's pop that down like that. Yeah, that's cool. And then when it comes to that page, we'll deal with that. Love that. That looks so sweet, doesn't it? I'm really happy with this. Do you know, I'm actually going to go over with this one with the green as well. Just really roughly. And it looks really scribbly to start with when you just do it in the one direction. But then when you change and do it in both directions, it starts to look more like a design, which is fine. And this is where I think I'm going to do my journaling. Now, if I don't quite have enough space for my journaling, that's when I'll probably grab this book, tear out a page and pop it in one of the tucks here. That's what I would do. That's when those types of little pockets are really handy. It's really nice having a whole selection actually of like little notebooks that you can use for that kind of thing, and it doesn't then look like it's just something that's a last minute thought, which it is. It looks like something that you've actually planned. There we go. I like this little crisscross look. Cool. Okay, so that is going on there. Loving this. This is actually turning out to be so sweet. I'm going to crack on with the journaling, and I think we are pretty much done with this page then. I am loving how this page has turned out. That tree really reminds me of the Tree of Life in Animal Kingdom. I love that this little page is so interactive. Got our road ride photo there. I might actually just circle March. We've got the map that pulls out. And then here we've got various little bits and pieces. Just little cute stuff. I love things like this. I love the different levels here. We've got this, which was from a playing card in Magic Kingdom. Anyone remember Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom? that's there, which goes perfect with those elephants with Animal Kingdom. And then I've journaled on the back about our chilly morning, waiting for the sun to come out by Joffrey's, which is what we did. We had a hot coffee there, waiting for the sun to come out so we could start taking jackets. And I took my tights off and that kind of thing because it was a chilly morning. Oh, and also saying goodbye to Dinosaur, the last trip that we will have with the ride Dinosaur, which has meant so much to us. I love that. I love the way the book page overlaps. I love how I've created the layers to add different things. It's just, oh, and then this as well. I love this. We make a great pair. Love that there. It's just got so many fun little bits and pieces. I think that's a really, really fun page. I hope it's inspired you. I hope it's encouraged you to look at books differently and maybe give you some ideas. I've loved creating with this page today. I've had so much fun and I hope that you've enjoyed it too. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.